What's up, everybody? Hey, Doug, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. All right, so Kill the Gamers, how you doing? So last week was moving a little slow. I think I was a little, I had a lot of. I was basically doing some blockout sketches of what I wanted that prop to be. Let's see where we ended up on that. I think we're gonna do more environment stuff today. What's up, Kingsley? Hey, AMC. We'll do more environment stuff today, but I'll probably move on from that prop because I think that prop's kind of. I think I got to the place where I want it in terms of like. I think the next step for me on that prop is to do some paint overs and find out exactly where I'm going with it. Yeah, so I think basically the main thing I want to do is I'm going to change up. Instead of that speaker on top, this is going to be like a little fireworks canister, and it'll have like a little rounded lip, and it'll shoot out fireworks from the top when somebody scores. And then, I've been rethinking the whole like, having like a handle. I think what's going to end up happening instead is I'll put in. I think if it just had a console back here, I think it's all pretty like futuristic, type piece of equipment. So I think what I'll end up probably doing is, not having it be something someone would ever manually push, but rather have like a little console here, and then it would be sort of robotically sort of driving itself and, delivering its little disk tub to wherever it's needed on the court. I think that makes more sense for like where I'm gonna be using it in like practice modes and mini games and things like that. So yeah, I think I'm gonna rework that a little bit, but I'm not gonna do that on stream because it'll probably, that part of it, the little exploration part of it, it's not very fun to watch and it's not very informative. It's just kind of block modeling and testing shapes and silhouettes and stuff, and I did a lot of that last week when I was kind of finding this shape. So I'm not going to bore you guys with that, but we are going to do more environment stuff today. I've got some pretty clear concepts for what I'd like to do this afternoon. Basically, I need just more props. I need more sort of set dressing elements. So we'll be doing a lot of stuff like this, just like sci-fi crates and like sort of tubs for holding discs off screen. And then I want to do, I'm building some sort of buttressing and like building out the rest of the stadium. So like, I've got some concepts for how big and what angles and stuff I want some of the walls to be as the stadium sort of starts like, revealing itself behind sort of the court. And this stuff's all, not really on camera all that often, but we're going to be doing more cinematic stuff in the game that is, say, like showing different angles of the court and cinematic camera cuts, so it's more important that the rest of the environment look good, whereas in the past it hasn't really mattered because our only camera perspective is like right over the court right now. So yeah, I think I'm going to work on some trunks first, and yeah, it's a good little warm-up thing too, because like I can do some cylindrical ones, some triangular ones, busting out some just crates and containers is a good practice exercise. And it's a good candidate for, what's going on? Kyle Arwas, how you doing? So yeah, it's a good practice, what's the word? It's a good thing to practice on, I guess. That's all I'm gonna need to say. So I like to start, I don't even use the subtool and initialize anymore, which is, this was in Polymesh, you're using a 3D shape, you go down and initialize, and you control all of the parameters of the mesh you're creating, and this used to be like the way to like build up geo, or at least start off with base geo, but now I find myself just hopping right into the deformer tool. It takes 2 seconds, grabbing one of these things, and then just using these bars to control what I need to control. Speaking of which, I want a cylinder 3, not a polycylinder, like that rounded edge there. Yeah, exactly. It's like a drone Zamboni. I honestly have been thinking about like particle effects that I could use underneath it. So I honestly almost I think it even makes further sense. I think the wheel all of a sudden becomes a bit too mechanical. I think like if it just sort of like and like plop down and like a little dust cloud after it landed, because it would be pretty heavy. But then like if this was just some sort of like just like hovering sort of, then maybe like the wheels don't make sense. I do like the wheels 'cause I like the sort of two big wheels in the front, one tiny pivot wheel in the back. I think that's like a kind of cute little thing. I think it's like kind of, it's like supposed to be kind of cartoony and cute as a piece. So I like that part of the design. But I think this might just in the you know sort of future arcade atmosphere this game is set in. I think it might be better if it was you know instead of that being like kind of hover jets as opposed to mechanical wheels. So yeah, something I'm thinking about as well. But again, I won't bother with that on the channel because I got some thinking to do there, and that's the kind of stuff I'll do like in the concept phase. So inner radius, vertical divide. Let's do like 8, 9 is fine. And I like to have 36 horizontal divide because that means it's divisible by 4 because 36 is a multiple of 4 and 3. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 3 is 36. Having a spans that's divisible by 3 and 4 will enable me to do things like live in X symmetry radial. Sorry, Y. And when we're working radial symmetry, then it's like, okay, I can just do, there you go. I just have like nice radial symmetry on every third axis, and then like, as well as if I wanted to go to 4, then it's like I've also, because it's divisible by 4 and 3, I'll always have symmetry if I want to do 4-way or 3-way symmetry. And I find that, you know, most of these hard surface designs, like they would have precision in that regard. You don't want, like symmetry can be boring, so you want to be careful. You want to be careful to like kind of fight that. But at the same time, you know, a lot of these mechanical pieces, for the purposes of like, you know, supporting the structure, they would have like symmetrical shapes there. So that's why I usually choose 36. It's a good base mesh starting point. Let me know if my mic dies because I'm not sure how much battery life I have left. Okay, let me just look at the concept here, see what I'm working with. Let's do something with that first. You know what I could probably do? Let me do a quick spotlight and just bring this thing in here. Exporting a PNG. Grab texture, import. Spotlight. Just be nice to have in the corner here. What am I missing? I always forget about it. There's one step I'm missing. I always forget about. I never use Spotlight, so I always forget what this shortcut is. I gotta kill the gamer. It's for this game, Disc Jam. Oops. Get the window focus here. It's basically like a distributor. It's a frisbee game. It's like air hockey and tennis combined. It's like that dude in there is just that. This dude's just for scale. But it's basically a. It's like it serves two purposes. When you're in a game, it like after a point, it shoots you the disc for the next point. But it's also like we have like some mini games and stuff like that where it's like it'll be you'll have like skill shots and it'll be the thing. It'll serve you a disc and you have to go charge it and complete a shot. It's like in addition to being like our competitive play, like start of the point, it's also for like offline practice play. It has to be able to like move around the court, shoot you a disc, move somewhere else, shoot you a disc. Disc Jam game doesn't work. No, it doesn't seem to work. Another one, Steam forums. Just go to our YouTube page. Here we go. Ba-ba-da-ba-da. There's our YouTube trailer. Yeah, you can see that trailer, like, it's basically like an air hockey type game. So yeah. So that previous prop is basically like the thing that like spits the disc out at the player. And then as we're adding, like I said, practice modes and stuff, it's the thing that kind of like shuffles around the court and shoots the disc at you, so you can practice like retrieving or firing into certain target areas. So that's why I think it might make more sense to be like a kind of like have a little console here at the back and be like a programmable device rather than like a more manual looking device. Mobility, being key to the design. And then this is like a screen that like kind of says like, point red team, and there's a little hologram that shoots out the little like things there. So like that, like it'll like shoot out and pulse like like red team scored, and then it'll be like doing particle effects and stuff towards the side that got the points. So I hope that clears things up. It's a little bit it's a little bit silly. It's kind of just like a very fictional, very arcadey thing that's in my head. Actually, a good thing to do would be to grab one of these discs and just make sure I'm working with the right size here. So I'll alt-click on that one, flip back over to here, append. You'll see the one that I alt-clicked is the one sitting right there. Oh wow, nailed it. Those are just for reference to make sure I got the right size. I know that this is about the origin, so I want to center it in the world origin. There we go. That'll just help me that working around the world origin in ZBrush is always helpful. Yeah, so this will be, more enough space. I think that's pretty. I think maybe even taller, and a little more narrow, so you like fit like a stack of discs. Then maybe it has like a couple wheels, you can like tilt it on its side and wheel it around. I'll probably have a few of these on these on their side. Yeah, I think it also makes sense if like a suitcase, if you lay it on its side, then it'll have you could open it, as opposed to opening it from the top and having it be like a canister that opens from the top. Maybe it's better if it's like looks like it has a handle on the back, could lean on its side, and then like pop open sideways, so then it has like a. Let's do both. Let's make a few of these containers. Yeah, Lazy Sloth. We're working on multiple platforms. Next, we're we're deciding now which one we're gonna ship on next, and whether it makes sense to ship on both platforms at the same time. We've launched on PC and PS4, but we haven't decided yet. We're still kind of exploring what we want to do in terms of multi-platform, or not multi-platform, but our next launch platforms. Don't need symmetry for this part. Probably just doing. How do you make your brush icon smaller? Okay, there is a preference setting for there's button size in here somewhere. So there's the default button size that's like your global, affects everything. And then another thing, if you like just grabbed your buttons out of here, they'd be too wide still, of course. So the place you want to grab them from when you're doing your custom UI is the brush menu. So if I'm in preferences, enable customize, brush menu. Now if I grab that, I can kind of throw that anywhere. From within the brush menu, you can have like the tiny one. So I also actually have that docked on the left side. So yeah, if you don't see a brush there you want to use, maybe grab it, you know. Say there's like an IMM tune brush, so then you want to do that. Click the brush in the brush palette, press B, grab the brush that you want to make a shortcut for. That will put it at the bottom over here, and then you can grab it from there and slap it onto your UI when doing your custom UI preferences. Oh yeah, no problem. Tool extreme. So when you're in customize, there's two things to keep in mind. There's that global button size. I find 43 is the one I like the most. That's your global, affects every button in the application. But when you're in enable customize, the brush icons in the brush menu are the smaller ones. So like, if you were to drag, if you're customizing, you drag from here, you'd be dragging off. Am I in enable customize? Can you not drag from? I guess not. I always thought you could. I guess you can't. Well, anyway, dragging from the brush menu is how you get those small ones. Yeah. And that's all you need. Q mesh by poly loop, bump out a little ribbon here. I think I'll probably do. I guess I want to create some difference between that lower one and the one that's up here. I think I probably still overdid it though. Measuring tools to, thanks Tool Extreme, appreciate it. Are there any measuring tools in ZBrush that you can utilize your modeling something to scale? So typically what I do, there are tools for like testing and getting info about the size and like the bounding box of your tool. And there's a new plugin, not new, it's been around for a while, but it's now like ships with ZBrush 4R8, and Scale Master helps you sort of like convert between real world units and what's going on in ZBrush. What's up, Ashley? How you doing? Did you stream yesterday? I didn't get a notification that you were streaming. Usually that's the stream I love catching every week is Ashley's. It's right during my work schedule. I can just so you don't miss it usually. But I didn't get a notification you were streaming yesterday. Did you skip a week? There's Paul's. Yeah, I don't know. Didn't get one. Didn't get a notification. Yeah. No worries. Kingsley, or I think it was Kyle, told me that you, me, I think it was like who was the other? There was a third one, but we've only missed a day each, so we're the most consistent. Anyway, so AMC, yeah, you have those like size tools there, but then you also have what I typically do, and like what I just always go in Maya or whatever my game scale package is, just because like applications that have more like, you know, frontal reading on, you know, what the applications that are more you know, what's the word I'm looking for, like, you know, the scale, this is all pretty arbitrary, put it that way. Arbitrary is the way, like, you know, world scale is kind of handled in ZBrush. Under the hood, of course, nothing is arbitrary, but it does sort of you know, become a little fuzzy when you're going to and from GoZ, and it's you know, taking scale and sometimes, you know, multiplying it by 99.999999876 and doing kind of cute things as it goes back and forth. Like in your sort of final DCC package that you use for your game engine, you want to make sure you get your scale correct there, and then you know, just use ZBrush as sort of like a reference. So like, I'll do this today because, like I said, we're gonna probably be picking up some environment stuff. I think I'm gonna probably build this thing out. So what I've done really is I've modeled that out to scale as a reference, and then like when I throw it into ZBrush, I just know it's gonna be the right scale. So like, I think the best way to kind of work with scale in ZBrush is to just build yourself some placeholders so you can see kind of what you're working with. That's like a big part of like this is, you know, having this in exactly the right location for the game's, you know, world Z is obviously very important. So I took a bunch of existing props. Before I started building this prop, I took a bunch of existing props and just surrounded them in their own group. That's like the reference group. So this is all the reference. This is the new prop. But this section here is all the reference for things that are in proper world scale, and they're also centered on the world origin, and they sit nicely on the floor. So that means no matter what I do in ZBrush, when I export this, it's going to head off into my game package or into Maya with the correct size and scale. That's really important, and rather than like, you know, fuss around with like, what does it say scale wise here, what's its position, like where is it supposed to be relative to the, all that stuff just gets a little too bogged down in ZBrush. It's like not really, you know, its strength is, you know, using your stylus and doing some sculpting and being sort of free flowing. Whereas like, you know, when you have like a Maya Max Moto whatever, that's where you're talking about like exact world coordinates and, you know, using your mouse and keyboard to align everything perfectly to certain, you know, those kind of like that blurring that line is you know, a good thing to do, but it is important to kind of use the tool that's right for the job. And when it comes to like things like world scale and things like that, I just tend to work in ZBrush. Like if I DynaMesh at 128, that's a decent amount of topology there. That to me is far more important than working in ZBrush's proper world scale. I'm actually working at 1/10 world scale right now because that's the most, you know, my ZBrush size at 1 is about super tiny, but at 1,000 it's you know, that's a good range for affecting the mesh. So those are the things to think about. Like, just I work in ZBrush scale knowing full well that I'm not at my world scale. I just want when I'm in ZBrush, I use the scale that plays nice with ZBrush, and that's that. And then beyond that, it's just about like knowing how to properly set your pivot, your origin, so you can scale something after the fact by some kind of multiple. And then it's like keeping that part clean. It actually took me some amount of time to get like where Maya, which has its own little kind of quirks with scale, and I don't always work in world scale in Maya either for that reason. Their camera behaves weird when you're working in world scale if you're working in certain units. So those are all the things that like you just kind of got to find your pipeline and find the sort of rules you see fit, and then once you have sort of your scales are sort of established, they don't change. So like you just grab a reference mesh and bring it with you for every single prop or piece you do. That way, you know, you just have reference in every ZBrush tool you spin up. There's that reference mesh. That's, well, 1 square meter of, you know, space, or like this fills the exact environment area that I want. And yeah, scale really matters for physics and all those kind of things for sure. Yeah, I honestly, Effects Animator, I would love to see that as well. Yeah, even if not, you know, unifying, I could understand not unifying, because, you know, that would be, I'd be surprised if that ever happened. But even without that, you could go the small gap to at least being more easily convertible between scales. You know, there's just a lot of ways I think those things can improve. Thanks, Action. I've got this is my 1440 version. I'm still kind of working it out. I've not quite filled up everything I need to fill up. I'm just trying to find what tools I'm missing from my regular process. But if you want to grab my 1080 one, it's right here. It's free on my Gumroad. That's my 1080 version of the same UI. I just got this new monitor, so I'm still kind of working it out a little bit. I'm excited. I'll start cutting into this thing with some Booleans here in a little bit, and I think that's always a lot of fun. A key press overlay, or will it matter because you have your own binding? A key press overlay. What do you mean by that, Laysmith? I'm not sure what you're referring to. Do you mean for like touch and stuff like that? I'm probably beveling these a little too early. Usually I wait till the end to bevel because I'm still trying to figure out what the shape is. But I'm pretty convinced on that bottom piece. Actually, now that I look at this, I think that I want to probably... I think one thing I'm thinking right now is that I don't want to do these grips yet. I know that I want them to be in the shape, but I actually want to slice up this top part first and make the lid before I start doing those grips. And when I do the grips, I'm probably going to break them off and make them their own subtool. So I think the quickest thing to do would be to just like abandon ship on that top half, close it off, and do it again, because it takes 10 seconds to do that. Rather than try and like repair these polygons and get it back. I think because ZModeler, I always call it QModeler because it's on my Q key. Because ZModeler is so fast, if I just rip that off, delete hidden, close on the edge, close convex hole, give it a tap. We probably don't want symmetry on. Very strange. Pretty sure this works. I've done this tons of times. Wonder why. Wonder if something's changed with this. This is an R7 trick, but just closing that edge usually. Oh, I know why. It's those faces there are still there. Yeah, see? Ah, knew it. Something. Let me grab all of that. Delete all of that. Delete hidden. Now I'll close this hole, convex hole, regular old spline, default settings. Click that. There we go. That's what we wanted. I'll do actually less resolution. I'll close that off. Oh, so you can see what hotkeys. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, sorry, I have my own bindings. I have hotkeys for like everything, and you know what? I should set up my stream to have that. I have not set up my stream to do that. The long and short of it, it's actually in. Let me start up hotkeys. Let me just bring it up real quick, because that might help. ZBrush Dater, which is my latest one, 6/14/2017. That sounds about right. Just for sake of visibility, here they are. But yeah, I should do a stream hotkey overlay. I haven't set up my. I'm pretty rookie with the stream setup. But yeah, those are they are. I mean, it's mostly just Alt button and then like the whole left side of the keyboard, and I do Alt Shift are like my little custom menus here. It's like Alt Shift is like Alt Shift B is my brush menu, so I can like make a curve tri-mesh parts brush without ever having to open up the brush menu. D, all my deformation stuff. Surface deformation, morph targets, deformation. S is subtool stuff, cloning, duplicating, splitting things off, of course projection and extraction. G is geometry, just anything I can need, you know, ZRemeshing, DynaMeshing. So these are all just keeping me out of the side menus. So that's what these things are here. R is render if I want to, you know, start flipping on the Boolean, do all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of, you know, I'll set up there. So strange. Not sure what caused that. Yeah, see, Reznor's Rage, it's one of those things that, hey, do you ever paint with filling polygroups with colors? Oh, yeah. They do smudge the edges. Yeah, totally extreme. Like whenever, and I work with low poly a lot, so when I do, you're gonna have that issue, because what it basically means is polygroups work based on vertex painting. So when you have one polygroup meet another, it's gonna, like, this vertex is assigning a color to it, and unless you have a ton of geometry and you can like more tightly, you know, wind them to each other, you're gonna have this sort of bleed that happens there. So. Yeah, Reznor's Rage. Yeah, you know what? Like, not recently, but I remember when I made the switch to ZModeler. At first with ZModeler, I was just kind of playing around, but then after a while, it was just like, you know what? Once I kind of, there's times when I kind of wish I had my mouse and keyboard. I could line up vertices or do some snaps and do particular types of like edge selection and bevels with the, you know, selecting primitives. By primitives I mean face, vertice, edge. By selecting primitives and doing operations, I kind of miss that about ZModeler, of course, compared to like a Maya or a Max. But as far as just like blocking things out and doing like really fast ideation and just like seeing how things fill a space, and then I can come in and like, you know, high poly it later. I love ZModeler. I move so fast with it, and especially with the new deformation tools. Like, you know, I'm excited to, like, you know, I want to make this a little bit more cartoony. You know, let's get a bit of a bend curve going here. And yeah, obviously need more geometry here, but like the way you can just grab some of this stuff and start, like, you know, using the deformers to start affecting your mesh a little bit is really exciting. I mean, it's like, I want to break the thing up and dent it. You know, so there's the broken version of it. You know, like that's like our dented version. You know, that's yeah, that's really fun. The deformers are really exciting. Okay, back to business here. Yeah, and every now and then I'll hop back into Maya, but yeah, I try to avoid it when I can, and it's great. Yeah, and then sometimes you just gotta, like, you know, you just gotta, Reznor's, you gotta just, you know, sometimes you're like, I find myself getting stuck. I'm like, God, what the hell? Then I just have to, like, you know, take a break, think on it a little bit, and all of a sudden I'll just come to you like, oh, here's how I can do it. That is very much plate. Insert multiple interactive resolutions with side elevation. Just ballparking it there. Actually, matter of fact, let me undo that. Let me delete all of these and get more regular splits. Make sure you get the topology a little bit more even. Bop, bop, bop. How do you get those deformers? If you press this little gear, when you're on the gizmo, not the transpose tool. The transpose tool is, yeah, I think it's gizmo by default now. But if you're not on the gizmo, make sure you're on the gizmo. Hit the gear. Not only can you do all of your like base geo from here, which I absolutely love, you can grab any one of these and start having some real fun. Extender's a good one, actually. Extender's like probably one people don't see use it like often. Like, hey, I want this to be an oval. Boom! Now it's like a fucking excuse my French. Now it's like this oval, wide bin. Like, I'll probably end up doing a wide version of this exact mesh because it takes 2 seconds. And start spreading it out. Yeah, the amount of things you can do are really just bananas. Like, look at it, like, it maintains all of that offset geo. It stretches that part out because I told it to scale. But the amount of things you can do is just, oh god, it's like getting out of control with ZBrush. These guys. And a lot of times I'm just like, when you're messing around, like, all I'm doing right now is just sketching what I think might be cool. Apply creasing, no. Pick symmetry to a side. Pick resolution for the extend. I'm not extending that direction. It's just amazing, honestly. Like, the amount of things you can do. I'm just messing around here. But there's a different size tub, and it'll maintain the same sort of cuts and things that I've made, so it'll fit like it's in the same family as the tub I just made, but it'll obviously be a different size shape. So there's just a lot you can do with it, and it's really exciting. That's just one deformer. There's so many. Yeah, it's bananas, right? Like, it's just, there's the amount of things you can do. The new deformers are by far my favorite thing. Yeah, I get so excited I tend to have a slip of the tongue there. And the twist thing's kind of cool too, because like the thing about twist that I love is that not for even, I mean, like, this is good for like industrial shapes. You want to do like screws and stuff. But like the thing that's cool about twist is you could do things like, it's gonna be tricky to do here because I want to like illustrate a different point. Like, if I wanted to like, let's see if I can bring this in a little bit. Like, if I wanted to animate that, I could like store that off as a layer and export that to Maya as a morph target. So then I could like have a whole shape which sort of just like twisted in and out, and like it would just be like a twisty morph target to a D-twist to a twist to a D-twist. And that would be automatically, you'd have some vertex animation in a static mesh. You wouldn't have to rig bones to it. So you could like store off of a layer, right? And then you can do the morph target tool. Sorry, blend shape is called, but it's morph target, blend shape, interchangeable. Export blend shapes from the layer, and then animate that morph target in your game engine. So now you have like this flailing, cool looking prop, but it's not actually rigged to anything. You don't have to like build a skeleton, you have to skin it. So yeah, Reznor Rage, always questions. Yeah, what's up? How do you use the deformers? There's a million ways to use the deformers. There's just so many things you can do. Multi-slice is a big one too, because like how it does the slicing is pretty helpful. It like will add slices that you can then change the width on, and like it's a nice procedural way to add geometry to something. You can even slice around like outside edges and stuff like that. Like, oh yeah, here's the Y slice. And it's just doing its best to like find, and like this isn't a great shape to slice up, but the slice tool does come into great. Actually, you know what? A good shape to slice. I'll give you an example of slice tool. I try to use. ZBrush, ZTools. I showed this a little bit last week, but like the slice tool was how I did like most of this thing. This is read DynaMesh now, but like I did the slice tool and then created some geometry where I wanted it. Then I did the I believe I used just the regular deformer, and then like you have these. This is basically an exact lattice. So you have this lattice point that you then can shape whatever the hell you want to do with. I think actually, I think I used the bend curve. Change the axis that it's on. There we go. And then grabbing this, I would scale down or up, squeeze it in, twist it up, you know, things like that. Like there's so many things you can do. You explained something about masking extrusions. I keep having to extrude like 2 faces, so I mask like crazy, but it still grabs 5, for example. Are you using the Alt button? So like, I'm gonna, you know, extract off these grips in a minute here. So I'm gonna have, like, you know, roughly the same distance on that side. X and Z symmetry. So I'm gonna do 2 on this side, maybe like 4. That's probably this is probably the 2 I want. So if you hold Alt, you can mark which ones you want to do. And then I'm also using X and Z symmetry, so that I get, like, you know, symmetry in down that plane. Yeah, there you go. Hold Alt. And then now that's like, so if I have it on a single poly and I hold Alt, it'll just mark the polys I want it to behave on. And I think I'll probably put some windows in here so you can see that it's actually peeking into something. Yeah. There you go. So how did I make the hole? Are you talking about in the brush? Or sorry, I mean in the knife? Because all of this was made with Booleans. If that's what you're asking about. E6. So like, you know, these are all Boolean cuts that once you preview live Boolean, you can see them being cut into. And actually, one thing I did do, I did a 2-stage Boolean here. I trimmed off the edge of those tubes, and then I did a follow-up Boolean and cut the tubes into that grip. And that's how you get something like that. And then these little guys are just brushes. I have a little IMM brush. Or do I? I know I had one, but I probably didn't. It's probably in my brushes. I'm not really sure where it is, to be honest. But I have a brush where I created some negative insert meshes. Ah! Get out of there. Ah! Hope I saved recently enough. I'm not sure the last time I saved. I think it might have been a minute. Lazy Sloth, yeah, this is for Disc Jam. Well, not that knife. Well, I guess the knife. Yeah, the knife was sort of a instructional material for the ZBrush beta. Now I'm in the wrong ZBrush. This is R8. What's happening here? Come back to me now. Full size. Okay, recovered project. I think if I'm able to recover that project, I should be able to get everything back. Yeah, nice. Trying to find instructional material. There's a link to how you make those brushes. I just want to share it real quick because it's really helpful. By the amazing Joseph Drust. go. Where is this damn picture tutorial? Image tutorials, here they are. So the negative IMM brush is a good one. Here it is right here. So that's all you need to do. You basically just model it how you think it should look. And I know that I have a brush, I just can't find where it is, but I have basically a brush. I want a really tiny sort of rivets, and I'm sure there's brushes that look like this already somewhere in ZBrush. But you know, with QModeler or ZModeler, it takes just, you know, a matter of seconds to produce a screw like that, a little bolt. So, you know, you create the bolt, do what you want, how you want it to look, and then flip the normals and mask the base and just reverse it, and then you're done. Then, anytime you drag that brush anywhere, you can just drop it right on your mesh, and then it's automatically doing negative Boolean cuts. I know that there's a primitives, half primitives, model kit. I'm in Boolean. Here we go. A lot of these, I believe, are negatives. Yeah, here are some holes, right? Like, this is a very common design in like sci-fi stuff. It's just like, you know, drag out some holes, move it in there a decent amount, split unmasked points, and then make it a subtraction mesh. Live Boolean. There you go. Now you got some holes and a little bit more high poly detail in your mesh. So those negative brushes are pretty helpful. You can fly pretty fast with them. It's pretty exciting. Yeah, here's the link for that. There's a link for that. Always okay. I actually have a tutorial as well. I'm not sure if I've actually posted it yet. I have a tutorial for how I made that knife. I wasn't sure if the guys at Pixo were going to post their beta tutorials or not. So maybe I'll just share that on my thread. That'll be that. Okay. So, wrong place. Get back to here. Kind of like those little indents, to be honest. No, I lost my spotlight. Bummer. All right, let's bring that back here. Import texture. Disk chunks. Put my reference image back on to spotlight. Let's go full opacity, scale it down. Doesn't need to be that big, I just want to be able to take a glance at it. Brush, samples, do not spotlight project. Okay. Okay, so. Insert single edge loop. You know what the next thing ZBrush needs to do? If any Pixelogic guys are in here, I want to be able to align this with this face, and I know there's ways to do it. If you like, oh, well, if you QMesh one, then automatically tap and QMesh the other, it remembers the last transform. I know about all of that, but like if I could like drag this down, right, and then like hold Alt, hold Control, hold something, and then just like snap it to a height of an existing face, that'd be money. For now, eyeballing is just fine. So I want to make these little like sort of like nubs that hang off, but I think it'd be cooler if they like didn't all suck. It gets kind of boring when everything sucks into the same radius. I want to like probably make them squares. If I do like an insert box on this thing. Duplicate this. Now on the duplicated one, I'll just grab my gear, switch it to a polycube. Now I get a polycube here. Now I'll go to ArrayMesh. Say count. Say I want 4 of them. Playlist is this. We have to use royalty-free music, so this can all get exported. So I just go to YouTube and Google. There are no copyright music playlists. So this is the electronic dance one of that channel. I'm missing something here.
I'm running away from this pain. I'm trying to find a new way where the sun's shining down on my face. I'm running away. You're in a toxic relationship. Time to be free.
That's what I'm looking for.
Trying to find a new way where the sun's shining down on my face. I'm running away. You're in a toxic relationship.
That's what it is. So we got 8. We got those corner pieces. Gizmo's so good. Love the Gizmo. Such a big ad. Let me reset this. Center this thing in the world. Centered, centered. Center orientation. Now I'm in world axis here. Okay. 360 rotate. Give me 8 of these. Why wouldn't that line up? What did I botch about this? I think I might have botched these. That is... that's symmetrical. Having a crisis of math at the moment. Because there's 4 of these. I guess because they're blocks. And this is... you know, they would be sucking in. But like, they should be able to just fit there. understand why that doesn't work. It's very surprising. I'll leave that alone for now. Wait a minute. One, two, three. Oh! Come on. It's not symmetrical. No wonder. Good God, man. Thought I was losing my mind there. Good thing to find that out there. It looks like 1, 2, 1, 2. This actually has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spans to care about. Makes a lot more sense. Not a symmetrical piece. Hence, those little clippers aren't going to work. And again, once again, I think it's just better just to delete all that. Matter of fact, I wonder if I even have. Let me save this. Nap, jammers, trunk. I'll keep that just as a variation, just like in case I want to see that lid at another time. I was given a demo, I wasn't paying attention, I didn't make that bit symmetrical. Back to business here. X and Z symmetry. 1, 2, 3, 4. I know, I don't actually want it to be symmetrical, Laysmith. That one, I wanted to be symmetrical because I was like, doing a symmetrical look. And then when it wasn't symmetrical, it kind of threw me. But this one, I actually don't want to be symmetrical on purpose. I actually want to just pull those grips off and do them separately. What's up, Lance? How you doing? Switch that back to a single poly. Trying to get through C++ programming windows. What do you mean? What type of course you taking? What are you doing? I'm going to duplicate this off, quickly change it to a poly cube, grab that poly cube, scale it up. Probably don't need that much resolution. Take the divides down to 1. Take it down to 2 for everything. Just do 3 for everything. That's one thing that's actually quite hard, is like nailing the precise values on that tool. It's quite difficult. Center that right inside there. Alt click to do that. Drop those things snugly onto those things. That subtool, I don't need it. Getting in the way. So addicted to ZModeler, alright, but I've been having a lot of crashes when using it. Yeah, drop that 9 button, which is quick save. Do that a lot. That's surprising though. What kind of operations are you running when you're getting crashes though? I don't really get. Usually I get crashes when I'm doing like close holes and geometry modifying stuff, but ZModeler usually I rarely crash with. Knock on wood. Poly loop in here, drop that down, bevel this, match that bevel there. C++ is the thing to learn. Scripting languages are nice for like grasping concepts, but you might as well just, if you're gonna get wet, go swimming. Am I right? Shrink my visibility, get just those, we'll isolate those, make them the same polygroup, and then do a polygroup wall and just bring them in a little bit by the normal. Maybe a little too far off. Oh, that's trouble. 4 quick saves. Yeah, I mean, that's why I try to keep my project over here nice and tidy. Like I try to keep a limited amount of subtools in the you know, what's the word? I guess I guess it's like loaded section. Yeah, I only have, you know, the 2 here, and if it gets too big, I start to just like save off tools into separate places. Yeah, it helps. Yeah, and just the deformers have been the things like, God, I can't stop playing with the deformers. Hey, Tillis-san. Flip curve. Back this up off the bottom there a little bit. Thank you. Oof, we're about halfway here. I'm gonna take a quick break. Yeah, I think I basically, this is like the rough first pass of this bin. I kind of dig it. I think I'll probably drop this inner part down a little. Then we can start messing around and adding some booleans on there, some high frequency detail. Start really kind of making it look like a legit prop. Yeah, as far as just cube modeling around and sketching, it's pretty quick. Pretty happy with that. More visual interest to be made on these little guys here. Yeah, the Deformers are so massive. It's my favorite change by far. I think we're gonna have some fun with some ArrayMesh here in a second. Spin that mammer jammer around, start cutting some booleans into this guy, building some paneling, do a lot of the fun stuff. I think also what I want to do, yeah, I wanted to start giving it like a wheels. I wanted to make it sort of, it could be kind of wheeled around, and maybe I'll throw that on the side there. Let's make a few more things like this. And yeah, maybe start adding some wheels to it and letting it be like, the kind of trunk that could, wheel around a bunch of these discs and look like a human would actually use it. Alright, take a quick break. Grab a drink of water and a quick little bite. I will be back very, very shortly. Alright, sorry about that. Part of the interruption, guys. And set this region, see if I can't make... Oh, that's interesting. They cut it a little bit differently now. That's an improvement to the algorithm, I think. Ugh. This is when you gotta go to Maya because, like, I want this to continue along that edge. You know, let me just save this project. Let me throw it over to Maya to see what happens. I mean, I've been using ZBrush for R8 I'll just undo it back to where it was. It's just to get that piece off. Later, Ashley. Thanks for stopping by. Is it possible to control how spray works? I want to do something like a cross-hatching with a brush. Cross-hatching with color blend. Well, I will tell you this. If you're in one of those spray brushes, if you just click on the stroke, these things down here can help you with like the variation on how much flow, how much color, etc., etc. And if you had an alpha with it, like cross-hatching, some kind of cross-hatching alpha. I don't think I have any here. Library alphas. Might have something actually that works pretty well for this. Maybe not. But anyway, so you had a pattern you liked. It's kind of like cross-hatching, it's like a leather skin. Polymesh 3D. Divide, divide, divide. So this is color spray. Turn off RGB, unless you want RGB. I'm not sure like what your goals are here. So this is a pretty cross-hatchy thing. So yeah, I don't know what you want to control. I'm not really sure. You know, maybe you want to. Let's see if I can modify this thing a little bit. RGB intensity. You know, my focal shift full. So yeah, what are you trying to mess with there? You want to imitate the traditional painting technique. You have to be more specific than that. I can't help you there. The traditional painting technique, huh? I feel like there's more than one. But if you mean like you just want to imitate like what looks like cross-hatching, you know, it's hard to tell with this alpha, but it's pretty close, to be honest. You know, if you wanted to make it so it's not as dense. Can I see this placement is? Placement variance is pretty good, but you might not want that because, you know, if I was trying to sculpt, like, if I was trying to shade like a ball, you know. It's probably important that you get a decent look. But yeah, with a little cross-hatching, you know, like, dropping that down at that pace. You could also you can control how often it stamps. If you go to I have lazy mouse up there? Yeah, there it is. Turn the lazy eraser way down. Lazy step up. That might make it a little more infrequent. Never quite messed with this before all that much, to be honest. Anyway, hope that's helpful. Let's get back to business here. Back to Madcap Gray. Back to this bad boy. Document. New document window size. No. Just adding some stupid stuff around. Just trying to break things up a little bit here. What's up, G-Man Gavin? Trying to decide what to do with these faces right here. You can see there's a little bit of some step of the way I messed up. It's not a clean sort of loop right there, so I want to clean that up afterwards if I ever want to split all this stuff off and properly bevel it and get it to the point where it's super high res and nice and clean. But it's going to be seen from so far away. I don't think it's going to be necessary. I think if you keep it like pretty low poly, it'll read just fine at a tiny scale. Hello from Virginia Beach. What's up, Casper Army? How you doing? Welcome, welcome. Just doing some playing around with the tub. Pretty happy with that as the first one. I think I can call that finished iteration for the first one. Let's save that off. Get another one going. So this is a nice little trick for the ease of should probably want to do a little bit more over here as I look at it. Not sure what I want to do this side yet. Probably do a little paint over and get an idea how that should look off stream. Casper Army. I'm not sure if I said hi yet, but my mic was muted. So I was getting a little bit distracted there just by taking a look at some things I wanted to check out. That's a jump piece as well, I think. So the best thing, one of the better things about the new workflows, if I put everything into its own like Boolean start group, you can collapse it by group and sort of just like, it's like unofficial sort of like grouping in ZBrush, which is kind of new, which is nice because I just, you know, I'm done with that trunk. That trunk can have its own group now. I can bring it back. I know that I want to do more on this area. Is a little bit dull. But like this area is like kind of complex. This area is kind of dull. So I'll probably like not add a ton, but add a little bit of detail to this sort of barren side, and that'll be good because this part has plenty of interest. This part has less interest. It'll be a nice little mix between like, you know, a lot and little of detail. It's not totally symmetrical in 4 ways. These two sides are different, so it's like, you know, there's mirror symmetry, but not like 4-way symmetry. That's pretty nice. That's a decent first start. I'm gonna make probably another 2 of these or so, and you know, just scatter these about, and they'll be kind of full of discs, and discs will be spilling out of it, and it'll be kind of like just you know, a bunch of just you know, sporting equipment lying around the stadium. So now that I got its own little group, I can just like bounce that out of there. I'll stick in this group for now. Split that off. Unmask mesh center, world access, reset orientation, turn this bad boy into a cylinder again. Up. This one will be a little bit more stout. This would be kind of cool actually, so I have a little bit of like a little indent here, and then we'll wrap like a tube around it. Throw double-sided on it. Key mesh polygroup all. This will make it inside out. Flip it. Turn up double. Now I got some solid geo right as far out as we want it to be. Do a slice here, it'll go all the way through, which is what I want. On both sides, I can grab these 4 edges, pull them through, delete that one. What's up, Wicked Dimension? Rising Storm. I haven't played that game in forever. Love and peace, what's up? Welcome, welcome. What's the weather like up in Canada right now? I guess it's a big country, so probably pretty different. Where you are in Canada, I guess I'll ask. Duplicate. So yeah, you'll see how I like to duplicate it off and just whatever G I'm working on, duplicate it off, change it to the thing I want it to be, and work from there. Way too hot. Yeah, what's up? We got a lot of Canadians out there today. The stream. Welcome, guys. Yeah, still working on Frisbee. This now I'm doing some environment props. Oops. So yeah, that's the last environment prop. I'm just building a few trunks to sort of set dress the environment. Just some like trunks holding disks that can fill up this sort of empty space in the background, stuff like that. Yeah, it's a little, I'm just kind of sketching, so it's not always so much fun to watch because I'm just doing some 3D sketches, basically. It's just like, oh, let me find some cool kind of shapes that kind of closely match, like, decently match the concept, but not necessarily need to. I really appreciate that because I know that, perhaps a lot of people tune in for the organic stuff and the hard surface, and, or not the hard surface, but the organic stuff. And I do that stuff as well. But it's, I think just doing the game resolution stuff, I think, is something a little bit unique. So I hope that it's just different than what people are doing. Hopefully it's helpful. Just doing an insert NanoMesh here. So what I did there was just drop a NanoMesh in all these planes and then join them together. There's a million ways to do what I just did there, but I prefer that way. I like to just use the faces as alignment. Actually, let me... thicken it up a little bit. It'll look a little bit better. What's up, Kyle? How you doing? Is there a reason not to use a high poly model in film? Honestly, I don't do a lot of film, but I don't know. Like, I don't think so. Like, the main thing would be like bulk, like the bulk of the scene. Like if you wanted to like maybe use some shaders and maps to like, use smaller meshes. But if you're gonna be rendering out anyway, and you're probably rendering a lot of particles and crazy ass detail, if you're doing those big long renders that you have to have like a render farm for, and they take several hours or if not days to do like crazy ass production shots, then you might as well work in high poly, I guess. I mean, like sometimes it's easier to, for purposes of rigging and stuff like that, and like yeah, low poly is a lot better. Rigging high poly is very difficult because you have to skin that way. So a lot of times you want to use low poly proxy messages, and then like in the film you can like copy the skinning and animation to the higher, but with a lot of things right there. What's up, Brandon? How you doing? So, can we get a final film right now with DynaMesh and super detail when I plan to duplicate the mesh, ZRemesher, and protect the detail back. Yeah, love and peace 96. That's exactly what you want to do. You basically want to take your high poly. Let's see if I got an example here. I think I might. Here's a good example. This thing I was working on the other. Although this one seems way out of date. Oh yeah, it's in the project now. But anyway, if I wanted to ZRemesh all this stuff together, I would grab this, hide it. So I want all these to become low, right? Because this would all be one kind of sort of game topology mesh. Let's see here. That's decent topology. Let me turn off all of this poly paint so I can just take a look at it. This one's kind of low. I'd subdivide that once, twice, delete lower. Subdivide that once, delete lower. Just get these a little bit more detail to them. I'll just kind of show you what you want to do for that. So yeah, this is like some nice rounded, decently high. I imagine there's probably more sculpting detail on it. So I'll merge visible, don't weld, don't combine UV. Merge visible, there's that. Now I have this. I'll DynaMesh that together. Probably give it some more resolution. Yeah. Didn't lose much there. Even subdivide it once more. Give it some more resolution. Maybe do a project. It's going to take a second while it does the projection. Projections are usually a little more expensive. So there we go. Now it's all together. It's been DynaMesh together. So that's a decent starting point now because it's all welded together and everything. So I'll ZRemesh this. Turn depth size down a little bit, but I honestly don't mind all that much depth now. Let's see if we can get down to like 2000. But there you go. I mean, there's, you know, 3,000 active points basically, which is a start. I can smooth this down a little bit. Obviously had some issues there. I can close holes on that. Now that's all closed up. Let me smooth that out a little. Just like, you know, some of these issues that it might have had. But it's already a pretty solid representation of the form. And it's not a lot. Now let's see if I get half that. See, that's pretty good. And there's like edge loops around the sole. Looks like this is an edge loop. It's a cycle. That's a shame. But you can always put curves in there to kind of correct that and make those edge loops around the bottom. If I did some strict curves. I want to go real low. There's about 1,000. I could bump this out a little bit, give it a little bit more resolution. So now I've got this shoe. Append that shoe. And now I can sort of project my way into getting all that detail back. As well as just use this as a bake mesh. Like if I pull that out a little bit and start shaping this, now I have a really nice, I mean I can just bake that right now. I mean they're close enough in proximity where that cage is strong enough that I can get a solid normal map. There might be some artifacts by the toe, but you can always, you know, like any model, just come back in and correct those. But now I've got a nice low poly mesh. I mean this is less than 1,000 points. And that can encompass all of my shoe detail. So everything you see there is now going to bake down to this one mesh. And boom, I got some shoes. And it's like, it'll be nice and easy to animate because, yeah, see those are cycles. I'd want to drop down some ZRemesher curves. And just make sure you like line up those curves. Make sure they're not cycling. Let's see if I do it again, same size. Yeah, so there you go. Did a quick ZRemesh, dropped a curve down to like line that up, did another ZRemesh with the same selected, and now I've got nice edges, no cycles, all along the base of my sole, and that should project all that detail quite nicely. So that's basically the workflow you want to do now, to at least get you there. And again, you might have different needs per model. Like you might want to separate the tongue out, because you want the tongue to have separate geometry, and you might want to bake that separately. There's a lot of different ways to do it. But yeah, that's just kind of the way. If you want to go high to low, yeah, it's just a matter of what was that, 45 seconds, and moves pretty quickly. All right. Delete some of these other ones that are not in use right now. Okay. Ooh, wait a minute. Did I just delete? No. Okay, I didn't. Great. Want to make sure I didn't delete what I'm using here. Okay. Not gonna need all this geometry, so I'm just gonna delete it all. Grab the tops. So when you color on your mesh and then bake to have the normal maps and all that, does the baking capture your diffusion of the color itself? Yeah, so the way that works, in all kinds of applications, but ZBrush as well, is what you do is excuse me. When you have polypaint on a mesh, it's gonna bake into the vertex colors. So you have the option to, when you export, like if I'm gonna export this high resolution, I'm gonna go to my FBX export. You're automatically gonna bake vertex colors, which is what polypaint basically is vertex coloring. You're gonna bake that into your high resolution. So when you do your baking in XNormal or Substance Painter or whatever your baking software is, it will look at the high as it's shooting its rays. In the same way it finds normal information, it'll find vertex color information, because that vertex color information is going to come with the high poly. So when you have like a 20 million poly mesh, the vertex color is included with that. So like if you're doing a character, for example, Um, this guy. When you're doing a character, the low poly mesh, which is here, with a good UV map, it's just going to shoot rays at that, and it'll pick up if you miss detail, like in the shoulder or something. If it can't find these vertices, then it won't be able to grab normal information or color information. So it's basically the same procedure. Does that make sense? Gotta fix this mesh all up. This mesh is not. I haven't touched this mesh since I was in R7, so I gotta come back in here and update it for R8 and apply the correct materials, get it back to where he's looking good. But I'm still working on that guy separately. Doing environments for now. It's about 10 till, so why don't we start slapping down a little bit of color on these things just so I can grab a decent Let's save the project. I'm also going to save this tool. Why is it taking so long to save the project? It's saving. Nope, I think it's going to crash. Yep, it crashed. Dang it. There's the recover Z tool, but it looks like I didn't recover the Z project. Okay, and we're back. Texture, import texture, let's get my ref back. Desktop, trunks. Texture. Add a spotlight. Turn opacity all the way up. Scale it down. Throw it in the corner. Brush. Samples, do not do spotlight projection. Okay, now we're business again. Increase everything above like 30. I'll just do a fill of can even actually color pick. You can color pick from Spotlight, I believe. But I think actually it has to be active. Anyway. I think I'm working on a separate UI. There's a poly painting UI. I forget where I got this from. A little bit more helpful. Although it is missing a fill. Where's my fill? Bear with me a second, I'm just dialing in this UI a little bit more. There we go. Fill that with like a gray. Fill that with like a dark gray. Like a white metal. Oh, this paint. What's up, Shift? How's it working in the game industry? Salary stuff, and all that. Well, you know, it kind of depends. I mean, it's such a wide array. I mean, like, you know, I just started my own company, and we're about 2 years into this thing, so that's not really indicative of what working in the games industry is like. You know, when I was at Activision before that, and you know, you made a solid living. You know what I mean? We certainly aren't, you know, certainly aren't buying boats or anything, but we made a good living, and was able to continue to pursue what I wanted to do, which is eventually start my own business. But again, I was on Call of Duty, which is like, you know, Call of Duty Guitar Heroes are pretty, you know, safe franchises, although Guitar Hero did get shut down. You know, that's just not everybody's experience. The games industry itself is can be pretty tough nut to crack. I still can't figure out why I can't. RGB intensity is 100. It's just like not painting for some reason. What am I missing here? Did I turn spotlight projection back? I don't think I did. Yeah, that's what it was. That was something. There we go. Now we are talking. I'm just doing a quick poly paint for the purposes of maybe cleaning up a quick final shot of this bad boy. Shadow of Mordor is an excellent game. $4 on Steam is a hell of a deal. Disc Jam's also on Steam Summer Sale. While we're talking games on sale, Disc Jam's on sale right now for the first time since launch. This is a lot quicker and dirtier than I would actually do. I just want to get something down, show that it matches the concept a little bit. Yeah, working on just, yeah, Brendan's right. Yeah, it's like, don't expect to, like, oh, I'm going to join this games industry and get rich overnight. Just working on some environment pieces to, for the maps. Shift. Since we're winding down here, I just wanted to, a little bit more red. Drop a quick paint on it. Snap of that. Take a snap of that. Take a snap of that. Yeah, it's very much a passion thing. You know, what I do say to people whenever we get asked that question, or we were talking at USC last month, and the one thing that we kind of always say is that if you don't have like the crazy obsession with it, you know, don't do it. Like, fortunately, I knew at an early enough age, like, this is what I want to do, and I still love it, and I've been through some pretty rough crunches, like, I'm not exaggerating this number, like 15, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week for like months at a time. Like, you are sleeping, eating, sometimes both at your office, or you're at your desk. It's like one of those three things. There's nothing else in your life. So, you know, but like, your game goes out to tens of millions of people, and like, you're reading feedback that people are liking stuff that you worked on, and you put everything you had into it, and you know, you took it very seriously, and you're proud of your work, and that kind of stuff is really rewarding, and like, that's really fulfilling. So, and again, like, you know, I get to live in Santa Monica, and you know, I'm certainly not like, you know, struggling. However, you know, in terms of like wealth, no, like, you know, you're not gonna get rich working on the assembly line for a big publisher like that. But it is, you know, honestly probably the best education you can get in video games, not just Activision, so to speak, but like game development with a giant production like that is really good education for how to make games. And that's sort of a big part of why we were able to go independent. And being independent right now has been, you know, a dream come true. Everything's going really, really well. And, you know, most game companies don't succeed, and you know, our first game's out the door and it's doing pretty well. So, you know, I credit a lot of that to the fact that I learned a lot from, you know, shipping at big companies. And, you know, now my partner and I are kind of just trying to bet on ourselves a little bit and see if we can't get ourselves off the ground with, you know, our company. So we'll see. I mean, like, it's a great industry in that, like, if you love it, you don't care how hard it is, but it is absolutely a hard industry. Like, it's really hard to make a buck. It's really hard to get attention. It's really hard to get an audience. It's really difficult to exist in the games industry. And again, like I said, if you don't have the absolute diehard passion for it, don't even attempt to do it. It's just not even something don't even try. It's just not even worth trying. It's just too hard to work. It's too competitive. There's too many people who will work for free. There's too many people who will do anything to be in the industry. There's too many people who will make a crappy game and put $20 million of marketing into it to get it out there. There's too many good games, so it's hard to find good games because awareness is such a hard problem. There's a lot of challenges in the industry, and then it's like, if you're not going to self-publish your game, you're gonna have a really hard time getting a deal that's creator friendly. You know, even with this jam, with a wrapped up with a bow on it, you know, we got approached by a lot of publishers, which is a fortunate thing, like, to be approached versus pitching them. It's a very nice thing, so we didn't really have to pitch anybody. But the thing is that everybody's talking in these extremely, you know, one-sided deals, only because, you know, most people need hard liquid up front, and that's like a tough sell for anybody. So there's a lot of challenges, and you know, like, luckily we bootstrapped everything, and that worked out really well for us. There's a lot of challenges in the industry. If you don't love it, don't do it. You have to be obsessed with it. And, like, you know, I'm really, really, really happy and fortunate that I stuck with it, because, you know, it took me, my first game was Call of Duty 3. That was about 11 years ago now, and it was a crazy crunch. It was like, this is what the game industry is like, and it was like such a bad crunch. But you know, it didn't deter me at all. You know, there's times when it was like stressful, sure, and exhausting, but it never deterred me. I knew it was like exactly what I wanted to do, and, you know, even working crazy hours like that, I would still go home and try to get better at art in my spare time, try to get better doing things that were outside of my purview at the office in my spare time. And yeah, and now like we're a 2-man studio and we do everything in house and things are moving along great. But it's about 10 years of training talking to get to that point, and we're still missing a lot of pieces, to be honest. So yeah, it's hopefully that's helpful. Yeah, I mean, like in Wicked Dimension, our low player count is due in large part to our lack of marketing on PC. It really was just a console game. It was always like, you need controller. It doesn't even run with mouse and keyboard. You got to use like keyboard controls, like our gamepad controls mapped to a keyboard. So we're going to be aggressively marketing on PC this summer and just trying to get more awareness on PC. But we're always going to be a console first kind of company. That's our bread and butter. But yeah, I mean, even our bad reviews, people dig it. So that's exciting to see, because we knew that it's a very small game, very tiny in scope. We knew it was going to turn a lot of people off, and it's MP only. There's no offline options at all. So if we don't have players, it's a problem. But we have a healthy player base on console, and our healthy player base on console with crossplay is now going to be able to cross-pollinate with PC. So hopefully if we can resuscitate the PC, that'd be nice. But again, it was always meant to be just console first title. So, and yeah, Kickstarter disappointments is a big. I mean, like that. I think the Kickstarter stuff is that ship sailed, man. Like now, the only thing Kickstarter is used for, crowdfunding basically now is only used for big people like Joe Maggiera and Double Fine and people like that roll their Kickstarters, and it's like we're raising 2 million, and then they raise 8, and then they get to just make their game like this. I mean, they wouldn't have any trouble getting money any other way. It's just that's just a marketing campaign now. Like that's a Kickstarter is just like, look how much prizes you get, look how much media we built for our Kickstarter campaign. That's just a marketing plan, and that costs money too. They probably paid somebody tens of thousands of dollars to set that all up, and that's just a marketing campaign. That's not a crowdfunding green light part of the process crowd thing. It's just like, oh no, it's just like a pre-order system that goes differently now. So yeah, No Man's Sky, you gotta remember too, was like picked up by Sony. Like No Man's Sky was an independent game, but then Sony decided to get involved in the publishing, and I don't know any inside information there. All I know is that what's public information, which is like Sony got on the hype train for that game and rolled it hard, and so the developers kind of like, not prepared to deliver on any of the stuff that was going on in the marketing. I mean, Disc Jam is a very undermarketed game, but that hurts us in a lot of ways. But it also expectations are nice and low when they come to buy Disc Jam. Yeah, totally agree, Brendan. Yeah, Brendan's absolutely right. Like, the time that I really kind of changed my talents is when I decided that I was going to make my own games from home. Like, I was doing well at work, getting good reviews, advancing, but I was getting better, sure. I mean, how could you not? But, you're working on the specific task you got at work. A lot of that stuff's redundant. A lot of that stuff's like, hey, fix this thing. You're not going to get better when you do it, but it needs to get fixed. I started making games in my spare time, and that's really when I let me learn about rendering in this capacity. Let me learn about materials. Let me learn about things that weren't in my purview at the office. And then the stuff I was building at home started making a lot of progress, and I was realizing, oh wow, I'm getting a lot better at my job in the office just by knowing the things I'm learning in my spare time. And it was kind of an accident. I was like, I want to make my own games, so let me just make my own games in my spare time. But it was really game changing, because then I would come to the office years later and be like, wow, I'm a lot better at all these things. I can take on more responsibility because I know that guy's job. I know what this guy does. I know what that guy does, because I've been doing all of these different things myself. So being like interdisciplinary in that nature is really helpful as well. Console primarily because A, the controls, and B, because we were targeting that market. Like we were meant to be like casual controller based game. The PC SKU you kind of always get for free, because like if you're building it, you're gonna get PC for free. And PC is a much tougher nut to crack. It's with just regulation and sign off and certification and QA approvals. It's still a pretty controlled marketplace on console. It's getting more crowded every day, but PC is so crowded that it's, when you have no budget. Like Jay and I had no budget. We made Disc Jam with just like the two of us. So it was important for us to sort of just get on the consoles, get some exposure in that way. We've got Xbox and Nintendo Switch. We're likely going to launch sometime. We're not sure which console and when, but we've got Mac, Linux, Switch, Xbox still to hit, and they have their own marketplaces for each. So like we've got a lot of growth to do there, and with crossplay, which we just announced and are rolling out, we'll be able to leverage crossplay and get all of these player pools joined together. So like our main complaint on PC is that there's no one to play, and that's very fair, but with crossplay comes thousands and thousands of people from all over the world to automatically jump in our player pool. So I think I'm pretty optimistic, cautiously optimistic about the future of Disc Jam. And as you mentioned, like the people who are in lobbies, like our PlayStation community is pretty healthy. They're having a good time, they're enjoying it, and it's a very small game, but like most games as a service these days, we intend to grow over the course of the lifespan of the game. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. Yeah, so there's a little bit of prop sketching. There's the one trunk we did there. We got another one going on here. And we'll do more of these. I want to, like I said, just fill some props, get some props in the environment, fill it up, and some sci-fi crates. They always shade nicely, and you can paint interesting decals and stuff on them, and start doing some stuff. So we'll. Were you ever exposed to being an exclusive title? Yeah, but we put a pretty high price tag on that, Blands. There is interest for exclusivity, but because we have we're not owned by anybody else. We don't have to pay a publisher back. We don't have to pay any financier. We own the whole company, so we put a pretty high price tag on that because every console is a new marketing beat, it's a new audience. So if we can kind of estimate how much sell through we're going to get on the Switch versus the Xbox, when you start talking what those numbers are, people aren't as excited to do an exclusive downfront payment because we just basically wanted cash for exclusivity, and so yeah, we put a pretty high price tag on that, so we didn't end up going that route. And we probably could have squeezed out like a 6-month exclusivity deal, but the negotiation, the back and forth wasn't really all that much worth it. I mean, here we are 6 months later, the game came out. Oh, it was only been 3 months, so it might be the kind of thing that would have gotten our way. So it's hard to tell. You say it's harder to publish on PC, but it always seems that you're always waiting on PlayStation on further updates. Yeah, well, I mean, no, it's harder to publish on console, which makes it's more difficult to publish on console, which makes it harder to be successful on PC, because you can get a PC game out there easily, it's very easy. So without reasonable marketing campaigns and ad spend, it's gonna be really tough to get noticed. The things you want to keep an eye on are competitors in the space and things like that. So on console, because it's so difficult in that you have a lot of certification requirements and you have to get sign off from Sony QA on so many things, like you need Sony, Microsoft, etc. You need their approval to put certain things in your game. Because all those restrictions and hurdles exist, it's oftentimes a lot harder for people to even get dev kits in their house and follow all the things, the rules and licensing arrangements and things that are required there. I mean, there's a lot of technical requirements for technical security and things like that. Because those challenges exist, those hurdles are there. It's also a less crowded marketplace. I mean, small companies of 1 to 5 people who've never shipped a console game are going to have a lot of trouble getting their game out into first party, just because it's more challenging. So that's what I meant by that. Like it's harder to be noticed on PC because it's just bringing sand to the beach. I mean, there's 100 new games a day on Steam, I feel like. What's up, Nox CG? Anyway, looks like that's all the questions about the games industry. Brandon, thanks for stepping by. Thanks for stepping by, Kyle. Nice talking to all you guys today. We'll do more environment stuff next week. And yeah, thanks for hanging out, talking some game dev. And I'll catch you guys next time.